What's up everybody, Ben and Beta here, and a couple of weeks ago I released a teaser video about Missy and I choosing our next vehicle. We're picking something that we want to build out for an overlanding rig, and I've done a lot of research in the last several months. I've driven many different vehicles, I've looked at pricing and all the new vehicles that are coming out as well. Misty's helped out with some of that too, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the decision we're making on what we plan to purchase, and also why, and some of my thoughts on what I have test driven or what I have seen. So first I want to talk a little bit about why we're buying what we're buying. We want to get out and do more overlanding. We've done some of that in a Tucson and it's worked pretty well, but it's definitely cramped and you have to take things in and out of it constantly. And according to Hyundai, it can't support a rooftop tent, which would have made it much better for what we want to do. So basically we're looking to replace the Tucson with something that's more capable. We can get a little bit further off the grid, away from people a little bit more, but also be able to take all the things we need with us and be able to set up and break down camp a little bit more quickly and just kind of get out and do the overlanding life on the weekends and maybe for some bigger trips in the next several years. We also want to go cross country and take a look at many of the different national parks across the country and try to hit at least one in every state. So we're kind of looking forward to just doing some adventuring while we're still in pretty good shape and we can do things like that. So what are we looking for in our next vehicle besides just being able to get out and about? I want something that gets semi-decent gas mileage that's not going to be completely terrible. We're looking for something that's going to have a really comfortable ride because we are going to take 1,000-mile trips into different places. So it's got to be comfortable on the road and it's got to be good for everyday stuff as well. So we talked about just buying a specific overlanding vehicle and keeping what we have now, but we didn't want to pay for 2 insurances and the store of 2 vehicles, that kind of thing. And honestly, a lot of the new technology that just came out in the 2023 to 2024 model year really kind of elevated some of the vehicles that we're looking at into being much more comfortable, a little bit better with gas mileage, and just more capable overall. While a lot of people might go immediately to a Jeep Wrangler or like a Bronco or something, we've decided to go a pickup truck route. And there's a couple reasons for that. There's a little bit of nostalgia in this. My first vehicle ever was a pickup truck. It was a Ford Ranger 2-wheel drive. We also owned another Ranger for a few years, and I loved having a pickup truck. But they were less practical back then. We've owned many different vehicles. I think we've owned like 18 different vehicles now over the span of our lifetimes between the two of us. So that's a lot of cars. This one needs to last us a long time too, so that's another big piece of this. It needs to have good longevity. And pickup trucks in general actually do have good longevity. But that's going to be a piece of the reason of why I chose what I chose for sure.
All right, so you might be thinking, how did we come up with a decision to buy one vehicle over another? So there were lots of different things that went into this, but basically Misty and I sat down and talked through a few things, and then I also kind of laid out the things I really wanted to have in a vehicle or have the ability to have. We also wanted to look at gas mileage. Overall price is still really important. But these are some of the most important features. So LED headlights were important, leather seats or leather type seats, heated seats. A heating steering wheel was another thing that was nice. I like ventilated seats as well, but they weren't a deal breaker necessarily. We also wanted to look at something that could be factory lifted if we wanted it to be. But one thing that became really important over my experiences overlanding in the Tucson was that the 360-degree camera was very important. And it was something that I definitely wanted to have in our vehicles. So that kind of quickly ruled out some of the 2023 vehicles, unfortunately, which would be like the Ranger, the 22 Colorado. So those were kind of out almost immediately. You can kind of see in this list which of these things has what. I did everything on this tool called Coda. It's coda.io. I have a link in the description, and then you do get a discount if you want to give it a try. This is one of the best tools on the market for, I think, any kind of small business, people who just want to keep track of different stuff. You can use things like Google Sheets or Excel, and those work fine for the most part, but you can see that this has kind of a lot of different advantages. Not only can you do table type things in here, but each of these rows can do some kind of cool stuff with. I can actually have notes. Inside these notes, I can have other tables, and that's just a row. It's just basically a row and a cell inside of a column. Yet I can have all kinds of different things inside here. You can embed websites, and then you can do complete rich text things too. So it can be a document, it can be a database, it can be a repository, It has all kinds of math functions built into it where you can keep track of finances and those things as well. Lots of different plugins. So this is a really cool tool, and it's something that I would definitely recommend for anybody who maybe doesn't like spreadsheets but wants the ability to have data tables. You can also publish these to the web. It's a pretty cool tool. Anyway, enough of that. Misty and I basically looked at some of these things, and I did most of this research, to be truthful with you. And then I test drove most of these vehicles as well. And as I test drove them, I also then wrote notes about what I liked and what I didn't like about each of them. And these are as I would price them from the build and price tool, or as close as I can get. So the Canyons and the Colorados were both great vehicles, honestly. So whether you're looking at the Z71 or the ZR2s, for the Colorados, or even the AT4s or AT4Xs, I think they were really comfortable. They had a lot of great features. The biggest concerns I had with those is, while I love Android Automotive and all the tech that was built into them, I've seen a few videos where that has really failed, and resale value is not as good on those trucks. I think the ride quality is pretty good. One thing I noticed with them as well is, with the tech packages, I didn't seem to have really good lane centering, and I actually really like that feature. So that was one thing with the Canyon. At least I was like, I wonder why it's not lane centering. It may have that feature and it just wasn't turned on, but that was one thing I noticed. But ride quality, all that kind of stuff, capability, they're definitely great vehicles. There's no doubt about that. So the Nissan Pro 4X was an interesting vehicle as well. It's a little less expensive than everything else. It's a little bit older. It was very comfortable. The biggest issue I had with that I knew was going to drive me crazy was that the infotainment system, it was hard to see in the daylight. It was very dim. And the 360-degree camera, while it had one, was not amazing either. And those things right there kind of just disqualified it for me. And to be truthful with you, I kind of wanted a turbocharged engine. Again, for the mountains, it's just going to perform better here, in my opinion. Also test drove the Ranger, which I thought was super comfortable inside. Just the tech is very old, and obviously it's missing a lot of the features in the XLT. And the Lariat model for 2023, while it has some of the features, did not have the 360-degree camera, and that was kind of a big deal there. But I think very comfortable truck, kind of like that. I also drove a Gladiator, and it was actually surprising in a couple ways. I actually felt like it rode pretty well. I did not get a chance to drive a Rubicon. They didn't have one of those. So that maybe things would have been a little bit different if I had driven a Rubicon. But a few years back, Misty and I had rented a Jeep while we were in Hawaii, and we hated the seats in there. They were not very comfortable at all. And I found that the seats apparently have not changed very much over time. And I could not find any kind of comfortable seating position. Those are manually adjustable. I know the 24s have changed a little bit. The infotainment system on here is super old, and even the new one's just okay. It just wasn't my thing. I think they're super capable, though. You could definitely tell on all the potholes in the area that it definitely is a very capable vehicle off-road. And then you have the 2023 Tacomas. So those vehicles are super capable. I actually rented one for a weekend where I took my mom leaf peeping, and as far as capability went, it was great. It was an off-road trim, just like we would probably buy. And my mom and I had a really great time going out into some pretty difficult trails. In fact, we went on some trails we probably shouldn't have been on. The off-road probably needed to be lifted a little bit more in order to tackle some of the trails we went on, but we made it through. We actually had to build part of the trail up in order to get out of the area we were in, but we made it, and the truck handled it just fine. So I was really impressed with it. What I was less impressed with was the seating position in that vehicle. It was fine, but it wasn't amazing. Definitely some of the other trucks have a just better feel than the 23 Tacoma. And then just the interior, infotainment, everything on the Tacoma is just kind of a little bit older. The 360 camera is okay, but not amazing. And Misty and I took a test drive in a 23 Tacoma just to see if that would work for us. She even mentioned she thought for a brand new vehicle, it would be more updated inside. It just didn't make sense between all those things. Was interior stuff. I also did not love the engine or the transmission. It definitely hunts for gears. It does not have a lot of pickup for something that has that much horsepower. And even though that engine was apparently tuned for gas mileage, it didn't get very good gas mileage either. So then we have the 2024 vehicles, which generally have a lot of the technology I'm looking for. The Ranger XLT was missing a few features, mainly the leather seats, but basically had most of the other features that I was looking for. The Lariat had pretty much everything. And again, those are nice trucks. I think the redesign is nice. My issue is with the interior. I have driven a few vehicles from Ford that have that big center display, and I just don't like it very much. It's never been very quick and easy and intuitive. I just think Ford has a little bit of work to do on their design for their infotainment center, and that's the thing you're going to be using for a lot of the features. So that's one issue that I came up with there. It also doesn't have a really great off-road package. The FX4 is fine, but any of these pickup trucks would be plenty good for off-roading and for overlanding realistically. Then you got the Ranger Raptor, which is an option. It's still kind of in the price range we're talking about for a lot of other vehicles, and it's obviously set up really well. It's going to be nearly impossible to get one of those. We could order one and it'll be maybe a year or two probably before you get one, since Ford's kind of really behind on that. So I definitely wanted a vehicle this year, and that was going to be important. So while the Ranger was in contention for a while, once I went to Overland Expo Mountain West and got to see the 24 Tacoma in person, I was really impressed with what Toyota had done here. And just recently, kind of all the reviews have come out from the initial drives and the pricing has come out. Toyota did an amazing job in the interior, and they seemed to fix all the problems that I kind of pointed out on the 23. So I was pretty excited about that, and I was glad to hear that basically every one of the people who drove the vehicle were very happy at the first drive event. So then the next question was like, what model were we going to get? And initially, we really wanted to go Trail Hunter, but there was a couple of reasons why we're not going to do that. One is going to be that apparently they're going to be very limited in production for the first year. The second one is after pricing came out, the off-road's already basically at the top end of our budget for what we're looking for when you put in like the premium package and the sway bar disconnect and those types of things. You add just even to go to the hybrid model would add a couple thousand more to the price. So I think those are some important pieces of why we decided to go that route. As for when we're going to get it, I have no idea, because right now things are all kind of in flux. There are a lot of dealers in the nation that are marking these vehicles up, some like $5,000-$6,000 above MSRP. Some are throwing additional packages on top of things that make no sense, that you may or may not even want, and just really jacking up the prices. We're going to be working with Toyota of Colorado Springs, and I'm working with Robert Raphael there. They are an MSRP dealer, so they're going to sell at MSRP. That's really important to me. They've done a really good job of communicating. There were some early kind of issues just trying to figure things out, but I've always been able to get into test drive with the 2023s. And then Robert's been really great at getting back to me on questions. I also was dealing with one of the managers there for a little bit when Robert was busy, and his name was Jeff, and he was great too. He got us right into a 23 for Misty and I to take out and take a look at it, and I came back 2 of them, and no problems whatsoever. It was very easy to deal with. Everybody's been easy to deal with there, and they're very friendly. So we're excited to work with them, and I'll let you know how this continues to go, and if we end up getting it for MSRP, or if like some surprise numbers coming out at the end or something like that as well. I don't expect that. They seem to be pretty good people there. I'm making this video on the 5th of December. So as of that time, there is no build and price tool, so I can't show you exactly what the configuration is going to be necessarily. But Robert did send me some information on one that's similar to what we would probably get. So Robert was able to find one somewhere in the nation that's similar to what we were looking at. Some of the information on here isn't exactly accurate because they're still waiting for some of that, but the prices are. So you can see the base price of an off-road is like $42,900. There's a bunch of factory installed options, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then you have a port fee, and then you have your dealer processing and handling fee. So that all comes to about $55,700. When you look at what's on this one, the most expensive piece of this is going to be the premium off-road package, which includes all the features I want. And one of the things that's not listed on here, but that's pretty cool, is there is an integrated high output air compressor that's built into the vehicle, which is going to be great for overlanding and off-roading. So I'm excited about that. So that's part of this price and why it's so high, but it is definitely a lot. Then they're also looking at a premium paint charge, which is possible because I'm looking at the bronze oxide color. Definitely want the front stabilizer disconnect, so that's another $1,230. And then all this other stuff I really don't care about, to be kind of honest with you. Like the floor liners are fine, I guess. I don't really want the Predator drop step. I really prefer a rock rail instead. So we'll see kind of what packages are available when we're ready to pull the trigger. But that's basically what we'd be looking at. So that gives you an idea of how much this would cost at MSRP without a bunch of dealer markups. But I'm gonna be super excited to build that vehicle out, make a ton of videos on all the different choices we make and the adventures we have. I'll be able to use that drone to show a lot of the cool adventures that we're doing as well. So there's gonna be a lot of content in and around this and the overlanding experience that we have with this new Tacoma. And when that'll happen, I don't know, but that's what we've decided to choose at this point. I would also tell you that Toyota of Colorado Springs is cool because they do have a deposit to get on a list for these new vehicles, but it's completely refundable. And there are some dealerships that are not having any refundable deposits as well. So just something to think about. I've just had some really positive experiences so far with this dealership, and hopefully that continues. But again, if it doesn't, I'll definitely let everybody know.
So anyway, that's the vehicle that we chose. I think people should do their own research and choose what the vehicle that's best for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we think is best for us. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat helpful and informational, but I think this is gonna be a great vehicle, and it's gonna be a ton of fun making new videos and new adventures, and most importantly, new memories as we take this off-roading and travel around the country with it. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.